Many stories exist from the great wars of the past. What is the longest siege in human history? Not the legendary Siege of Troy, not the brutal Siege of Stalingrad. It was the Siege of Ceuta, but it was the second longest one we will be talking about. The grim prize for relentless, bloody endurance goes to a conflict that lasted for 21 years, a full generation of bloodshed fought over a single city on a sun-scorched island. This is the story of the Siege of Candia. A brutal war of attrition between the Venetian Lion and the Ottoman Crescent, a struggle that would drain treasuries, shatter armies, and cost well over 100,000 lives. In the mid-17th century, the island of Crete was the Regno di Candia, the jewel of Venice's maritime empire. Its capital, a formidable fortress city also named Candia, was the heart of Venetian power in the eastern Mediterranean. For the ever-expanding Ottoman Empire, this was an intolerable affront. A Christian dagger pointed at their vital shipping lanes. The conquest of Crete was inevitable. In 1648, the Ottoman war machine, tens of thousands strong, finally descended upon the island and laid siege to its great capital. The stage was set for a nightmare. What followed was a horrifyingly industrial form of warfare. The Ottomans, masters of siegecraft, did not rely on cannon alone. Their primary weapon was the mine. They dug vast, claustrophobic tunnels deep beneath the city's state-of-the-art bastions to plant enormous gunpowder charges. The Venetians, in response, dug their own tunnels counter-mines in a desperate, underground race to intercept the attackers. The war was fought in pitch darkness, the only sounds the muffled scrape of picks and the fearful listening for an enemy on the other side of the earth. And then the explosion, a cataclysm that could vaporize a section of wall and every soul upon it in an instant. The siege was not 21 years of constant bombardment, but a cycle of furious assaults and grinding blockades. The city's lifeline was the sea. Venetian ships, often aided by volunteers from across Christendom, Knights of Malta, papal troops, and adventurous French nobles, fought to run the Ottoman naval cordon. But this help was fickle and never enough. Inside the walls, the true enemies became time, disease, and starvation. The walls, though scarred, largely held. But for the citizens and soldiers trapped within, hope was a fortress that was constantly, mercilessly under assault. By 1667, the situation was abysmal. A new, determined Ottoman Grand Vizier, Koprulufas Alamed Pasha, arrived with a fresh army and a singular order: win. The final 2 years were the most brutal of all, a relentless hammer blow against the exhausted and depleted defenders. Then came the final, crushing blow. The French commander François de Vendôme was killed. The 6th Duc de Royannay that succeeded him and his critical contingent of soldiers, disillusioned by the staggering losses, abandoned the city. For the Venetian commander, Francesco Morosini, it was the end. After 21 years, 3 months, and 3 weeks, he had no choice. The great siege was over. In September of 1669, Morosini surrendered. The terms were honorable. His garrison could march out with flags flying. But the victory for the Ottomans was Pyrrhic. They had won a smoldering ruin, having sacrificed over 100,000 men and emptied their imperial treasury. The cost was so astronomical that it effectively ended the Ottoman era of major expansion in the Mediterranean. For Venice, it was a catastrophe. The loss of its most valuable colony signaled the irreversible decline of the Serene Republic. Morosini was accused of treason for surrendering the city but was acquitted. He went into war with the Ottomans later as Doge of Venice in the Great Turkish War. The Siege of Candia stands as a stark monument to human tenacity and folly. A conflict that defied all contemporary logic. A 21-year struggle for a single city that forever altered the balance of power in the world. It is a story not just of empires and armies, but of the countless unnamed souls who lived, fought, and died in the dust and shadow of its great walls. A forgotten, yet unparalleled chapter in the annals of war. The city, now called Iraklio, is still called the castle by locals, and the long siege remains unforgotten in local memories.